If you would have told me 3 years ago that retirement would look like this for me, I probably would have laughed at you. The first 2 years were everything I had dreamed of. Traveling the world, waking up in new places, no deadlines, no alarm clocks. And then year 3 hit, and we stayed home. We stayed home to help the kids, do some small renovations around the house, and I started this YouTube channel. 3 very different years, each teaching me something I never expected to learn about retirement, freedom, and myself. So today I want to share what these 3 years have taught me about living, aging, reinventing myself, and what retirement really means after the dream trip ends. Hi, I'm Roxanne, and welcome to Reinventing Me at 60. If you're new here, welcome. I started this channel to share what it's really like to step into retirement. Not the picture-perfect version that you see online, but the real, evolving, and sometimes messy process of figuring out who we are without the job, the routine, or the structure we'd known for decades. If you're thinking about retirement, already retired, or just trying to figure out what's next in your life, make sure you subscribe. And if you have been following my journey, thank you for being part of this community. It really means so much to me. Let's start at the beginning. The first 2 years of retirement were magical. There's really no other word to describe it. I spent those years traveling the world, most times slowly, and other times not so slow. Sometimes jetting off to new locations, and other times car camping through Mexico. It was about waking up in a new place, wandering without purpose, and actually seeing the world instead of just passing through it. I learned that time really feels completely different when you're not working. Days don't have those raw edges. Mornings, they linger. Evenings stretch. And for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't living by a calendar. But here's the truth. Travel, as wonderful as it is, it wasn't the permanent way of living for us. After 2 years of travel, we started to feel something shift. Not the boredom, but the kind of a longing for routine, for purpose, for home, for family. I'd realized I'd been chasing the dream of retirement, but not necessarily living it. Travel taught me a lot, though. It taught me that the world is both bigger and smaller than we imagine. That people everywhere are more alike than different. And that sometimes the most profound moments, they happen when we're standing still, not when we're rushing to the next landmark. Year 3 looked completely different. We came home and stayed home for the most part. I thought I would feel a little let down after all the adventures we had had, but it turned out to be one of the most grounding, humbling, and growth-filled years yet. I spent time being there for my kids, not necessarily because they needed us, but because I wanted to be around them. I also explored more of the city that I live in. I don't always need Google Maps to get to places now. And somewhere along the way, I started this YouTube channel. Creating this channel was never part of my retirement plan. It started as a way for me to share my stories and thoughts about retirement life, but it quickly turned into something deeper, a place to connect, to reflect, and to remind myself that retirement isn't the end of contribution. That 3rd year taught me that home is not the opposite of adventure. It's just a different kind of adventure. Instead of exploring new countries, I was exploring new parts of myself. my creativity, my patience, and my purpose. If there's one thing I've learned is that the dream of retirement changes. What feels right one year might not in year 3 or 5 or 10. We often picture retirement as a single static state. Relaxation, travel, no work, no stress. But it's not a static state at all. It's a living, evolving season. And that's a good thing, because if we stop changing, we stop living. I had to let go of the fantasy that I'd arrived. Retirement isn't an arrival, it's another beginning. And that realization has been both freeing and humbling. When I left my career behind, I thought I was done contributing. But that's the biggest myth about retirement. That purpose ends when the paycheck does. Through YouTube, I found a new kind of work, not just creating content, but connecting with people all over the world. It reminded me that purpose isn't tied to what we do for money. It's tied to what we care about deeply. Sometimes that purpose looks like mentoring kids for some people. Sometimes it's creating something that didn't exist before. And that sometimes it's simply showing up authentically, saying, this is where I am, this is what I'm learning, and maybe it helps someone else. That's purpose. One of the hardest things I've learned was how to slow down without feeling guilty. We're wired to do, to produce, to schedule, to fill our time with activity. But slowing down doesn't mean stopping. It just means being present. It's those quiet mornings at home, sipping coffee while the sunbeam comes through the kitchen. It's the kind of peace that doesn't come from doing nothing, but comes from doing what matters at your own pace. And that, ironically, when I stopped trying to fill my time, I finally started to feel full. If you've followed my journey, you know this channel is called Reinventing Me at 60. But what I've learned is that reinvention isn't something you do once. It's not, I'm retired, I traveled, and I started a YouTube channel. Done. Reinvention is ongoing. It's the courage to say, this no longer fits me, and to keep evolving anyway. Sometimes that means letting go of who we thought we'd be at this age. Sometimes it means stepping away and into something completely unfamiliar, like learning video editing at 60. And sometimes it's simply allowing ourselves to be content for a while without needing to chase a bigger thing, whatever that thing is. Reinvention is about curiosity, not crises. And that's the biggest lesson I'm still learning. So where do we go from here? Honestly, I don't know. And that's the beautiful part. Retirement has stopped being a destination and it started being a journey again. There may be more travel, more projects, more learning, but there'll also be more stillness, because balance is the real secret to retirement. 3 years in, and I'm not chasing the dream anymore. I'm living the life I've built, the one that fits me. And there's a strange contentment about that, the kind of contentment that makes my heart happy. And I think that's the biggest reward of all. I'm so excited to see what year 4 of retirement will look like. What will I do and what will I learn? If you've made it this far, thank you for listening, reflecting, and being part of this community. I'd love to know, how long have you been retired and what's your biggest lesson you've learned so far? Drop it in the comments. And if this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with someone who is just beginning their own retirement journey. Until next time, keep reinventing, keep reflecting, and keep living with intention. We'll see you on the next one.